Buying a house can be a daunting and confusing process if you've never done it before, or even if you have done it before but it's been several years. That's the exact reason why I'm making these videos. This is the third one in a series of videos talking about the process you have to go through in order to buy a house. And at the end of the video, I'm going to talk about a couple of terms that a lot of people seem to get confused. What's going on? My name is Jason Edwards. I'm a local realtor here in Hampton Roads, Virginia. If you're looking for a channel that goes over what it's like to live, eat, sleep, play, find all the activities, and buy real estate anywhere in the Hampton Roads or Northeast North Carolina area, then like this video, subscribe to my channel, and hit that notification bell. Because I'll be uploading new videos every single week about what it's like to live here in Hampton Roads. I'm getting calls and texts all the time and I love it. So if you have any questions or concerns about moving down here to Hampton Roads, give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email. My contact information is below. I'd be happy to help you with your move. So like I said, we're in the third video now. We're already past meeting up together and talking about the process, seeing if we're going to be a good fit to work together. You've gotten pre-approved for a mortgage, so you know how much you can afford. You know that your credit score is good enough, your debt to income ratio is good enough. You're able to buy it, you're able to purchase a house. We've done your home search. We found the home that you wanted. We put in a good offer and we got the offer accepted. So now what happens? Well, in Virginia, within 2 business days, you have to submit your earnest money deposit. The amount of that earnest money deposit has already been determined by you and is on the purchase agreement. So the next step is to deposit that earnest money with a third party. So what exactly is earnest money? Well, it's the buyer showing that they have some skin in the game, as it were. If you were to breach the contract, try to terminate the contract without cause, the seller could take that earnest money. As I said before, the amount of the earnest money is a negotiable item on the purchase agreement. A lot of times it can depend on the price of the house. Sometimes sellers expect more earnest money than others. It really all depends on the situation. It's very situation dependent. But that's something that we'll talk about when the time comes to submit the actual offer, about how much would be a reasonable amount for an earnest money deposit. A lot of people ask me, can I lose this earnest money deposit? Is there any way that I can lose it? And the answer is yes. As I stated at the beginning, you can lose it if you breach the contract. Generally speaking, as long as everything goes according to plan and we get all the way to closing, that earnest money will be applied to the purchase. However, if something were to change and you were to back out and it wasn't due to one of the contingencies in the purchase agreement, you very well could lose that money and it would go to the seller. So at the same time that you're getting your earnest money deposited, I will be getting the home inspection and the termite and moisture inspection and any other inspections that we may deem necessary scheduled on the home. So what kind of inspections do you need? There are many different inspections that you can get on a home. One of the main ones is the overall home inspection. That's where they look at everything from the plumbing to the electrical, the appliances, heating and cooling, water heaters, HVAC, everything. They look at everything, test it, and let you know if there's anything that is not working, leaking, not up to code, anything like that. They look in the attic, they look in the crawl space if there's a crawl space. It's a very comprehensive inspection. I highly, highly recommend getting a home inspection done on any home purchase that you do. Another very common inspection done during the process and required depending on what kind of financing you're using is the termite and moisture inspection. That one is less comprehensive because it's a very specific inspection. They'll look inside the home around the baseboards. They'll look in the garage if there is one around the baseboards, in the crawl space if it's on a crawl space, and then around the outside of the home. and any detached buildings or anything like that to check for, obviously, termites, any type of termite tubes, any type of damage caused by termites, any active termites actually in the home. They also look for any moisture damage, specifically in the crawl space, and any wood destroying fungus that may grow in the crawl space. The majority of the time, if anything is found on the termite and moisture inspection, the seller is actually responsible to fix that up to 1% of the purchase price in Virginia. A couple of other common inspections are a septic inspection, obviously if there is a septic tank, and a well water test to make sure that the well water is safe to drink. If you're living in the city, chances are you're on city water and city sewer, so those inspections wouldn't be necessary. But if you're living further out in the country, those will be highly recommended also. In a lot of homes in Northeast North Carolina, the majority of them in fact are on septic. Another possible inspection is a lead-based paint inspection. If a home was built prior to 1978, there's a good chance that lead-based paint was used. In all the homes that I've sold, I've never seen anybody opt in for a lead-based paint inspection. It's a very invasive inspection, it's quite expensive, and honestly, the chances of the lead-based paint being in the house are pretty good. But as long as the paint's not chipping and you're not disturbing the paint, it's probably under several layers of paint. As long as you're not disturbing that paint, sanding it, or anything like that, it really doesn't cause any harm. If it starts to flake off and somebody ingests it, or if you sand it and it gets into the air and you inhale it, it can be harmful. So how long do you have to get these inspections done? That's another item that is negotiable when we put in the offer. There's a separate addendum that has the amount of time and the specific inspections that you'd like to get done right in black and white. So there's no questions. Generally speaking, in Virginia, between 7 and 10 days are usually acceptable by both the buyer and the seller. Once you get the home inspection done, and the home inspection and the termite and moisture inspection, you can expect to get the results back usually that day, sometimes the next day at the latest. So it's a pretty quick turnaround. Then we go through and decide if you want anything fixed on the home, if there are any deal breakers in there, and then from there we would negotiate repairs on the home in order to move forward with the purchase. So likely another thought on your mind might be, how much does all this cost? So the home inspection is based on the square footage of the home, whether or not it's a multifamily or a single family home. But if you're getting an average sized home, I would say you're going to spend less than $500 on the home inspection. As you go up, as you get over 24, 25, 2,600 into 3,000, 4,000 square feet, you're gonna pay more because it takes the home inspector longer, or they have to bring more home inspectors in order to get it done in a reasonable amount of time. Because like I said, it's a very extensive inspection. They look at everything, so obviously a bigger home is gonna take more time and then cost more money. And the home inspection is paid for by the buyer most of the time at the time of inspection. There are some home inspectors that will allow you to pay at closing, but for the most part, you should expect to pay at the time of inspection. So that being said, a couple of things to expect to come out of pocket between the time of getting under contract and closing, or prior to closing, I should say, are the earnest money deposit that comes out of your pocket and gets deposited by a third party, the home inspection, and then depending on the lender that you use, you may also have to pay for the appraisal out of pocket up front. Sometimes you can pay for those at closing, sometimes you pay for them up front, but it's always good to budget for worst case scenario, and then if it's less, obviously you got a little bit of extra money in your pocket. So after the inspections, I kind of alluded to that earlier, we would get the reports back. Anything on the termite and moisture inspection, the seller would be responsible, in Virginia, the seller would be responsible to repair up to 1% of the purchase price. And then the home inspection, you and I would go through it. We would look, find any deal breakers, anything major, and then we can negotiate with the seller what repairs they will make prior to closing on the home. Again, that's another negotiation. The seller doesn't have to accept it. You don't have to ask for any repairs. You can ask for as many repairs as you'd like. But in any negotiation, win-win is always the best way to go. So after we would come to an agreement on the repairs or no repairs, whichever the case may be, the next step would really be for the lender to order an appraisal on the home. A lot of people are unsure what the difference between an appraisal and a home inspection is. So the appraisal, they do come in and do an inspection, but the only thing that they're really looking at is safety, security, and structure. Those are the big things that the appraiser is going to be looking at, and then they're going to determine the value of the home. At the end of the day, the lender is only going to let you borrow as much money as the appraiser says that the home is worth. So say you got a house under contract for $400,000. The appraiser comes in and says that it's only worth $390,000. So then you would there's a situation where another negotiation is going to have to happen. Either you have to come $10,000 out of your pocket up to the previously agreed upon $400,000. The seller has to come down to the $390,000, or, well, I guess 4 situations. A third one would be you could meet somewhere in the middle there. But then the fourth one would be that you would have to release from the contract and the house would go back on the market. So you can see, once you get that home under contract, that's where the rubber really meets the road and things really start moving along pretty quickly. If you've got any questions, if you'd like a very in-detail buyer's guide, I've got one. Drop a comment below. I can make sure you get it. And if you have any other questions, or if you'd like to talk about making your move down here to Hampton Roads, give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email. I'd be happy to help you.